Hey YouTube, coming at you with an old school team of Altaria, Azumarill, Registeel to see if it now plays in this new updated meta this season. So for those of you who don't know, there was only like 7 Pokemon to use in the first few seasons of GBL. These 3, Skarmory, Hypno, Swampert I think was around, and Umbreon were basically the only ones that had play in the Great League at the time. Obviously that is not the case now, but this was one of the best teams. Altaria is just like, so the Dragon Breath damage was so overpowering and it was bulky. Azumarill was obviously super bulky. It was like the number 1 ranked Pokemon forever. And then Registeel was still good back in the day, except it did not have Zap Cannon. It had Flash Cannon, which made it a little weaker, but still pretty strong. So I want to see how it plays in this meta now. So the meta, as you know, medicham everywhere. So this team does pretty okay against it. The only problem is you're double weak to ice because you are a flyer and a dragon. So this does double super effective, which chips quite a lot. Good news is, by the time all these Dragon Breaths add up, plus this Sky Attack, you're still in a very, very comfortable position to win this matchup. So they shield. It's fine. I will shield back and be able to get to another Sky Attack to take this out before it takes me out. So it's good from that perspective. You're able to take this with ease. Get that Sky Attack off here. Keep switch. Or if they decide to shield, I was about to say, it'd be weird to shield that because you need to throw. Charizard, that's fine. Hopefully I get to move. Not quite, but that's fine. Azumarill is more than capable. So I run with, back in the day, you had the option. Most people ran Ice Beam Play Rough. With the amount of Galarian Stunfisk and Bastiodon that you're seeing in this meta, I don't feel as comfortable running Ice Beam Play Rough because then you just kind of get walled. So I run Play Rough, Hydro Pump, and then Registeel has always been a beast. I feel like back in the day it was used, but I don't know. I don't remember it being as overpowered as it is right now. I think it was because, I think the main reason was because it had Flash Cannon and Focus Blast. So it couldn't, Azumarill was the top ranked Pokemon everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, it was on every single team. So there wasn't a ton that you could do to it with Registeel. And I think you were okay running Hydro Pump back in the day. I'm pretty sure Registeel was on the team. I'm starting to second guess myself now. Getting the Sky Attack off here. Again, good chip damage, or they're going to shield because that will do a lot of damage. And now I can just come and very easily, I can shield up return. I don't need to, but I can just to keep the health. Plus they've already shielded. And now they're already, they're definitely in play rough range. Again, the Dragon Breath damage is always so overpowering. So good by that. Here comes the meta again. Meta's on all the teams, and Azumarill is quite a good answer in this meta. And it's one that you might want to start using again. I've seen it on a few teams. It's quite, it has the bulk. It's like a level of, I think one's like 48 or 49, something like that. Medichamps everywhere, so you can resist all these counters. A lot of the ice Pokemon are everywhere, so you can start throwing Play Roughs, and you're definitely gonna out bulk. This just looks like a hard counter team, essentially. You can get to the Play Roughs and sort of just take those draw runs. Those are not gonna add up on you. Running into my own here. Try to catch. Did not catch properly, but do get a sableye on me here. So yeah, Azumarill I think has a lot of play. There is lanturns, which are sort of whatever. You know what? I really thought it was going to be Medicham Lanturn everywhere. And Medicham is everywhere. I have not seen as many lanturns as now. And I think it's because it was just such the hardest answer to the owl. And now less people are running that, so now less people are running Lanturn in turn, even though Lanturn is still really, really good. So you have options if you want to use Azumarill, because again, there's less, I think, less lanturns around. Your other sort of weaknesses, like Nidoqueen, not around as much anymore either. There's not many other poisons in Great League, so that's why Azumarill's always been able to run free, right? There's not a lot of poisons. There was a lot of things weak to Fairy back in the day. Umbreon, Altaria. You did well against Hypno. You just kind of like took everything. It had Thunder Punch, but even that took a while to take you out. So it was always such a good Pokemon to use. And I think it is probably one that you can use again. 34. I swear 34 is probably the lowest ranked I've ever seen this thing. Recommended moveset is Ice Beam Play Rough for 17 and 24. If you want to run Play Rough Hydro like I am running it, it is 22 and 19. That's what that in itself tells you everything you need to know about the moveset. I don't know why Ice Beam Play Rough is a recommended moveset. It just limits you substantially. Hydro Pump is such a hard-hitting move, and I just picked up like 7 wins moving that to Hydro Pump and Play Rough. So basically what that causes you to do is it causes you to lose the grass, like the Venusaurs and Vicks and stuff more. You're going to lose those anyways. So you take those losses versus the grass. You take the losses versus Lanturn. And even Registeel, even though you can hit for the Hydro Pump, you're still losing that matchup now. So there are quite a lot of meta losses here still. It is saying a sandslash does beat you Shadow version with Shadow Claw Drill Run. So keep that in mind. Walrein's a loss, Cresselia's a loss, the Owl's a loss if you're not running Ice Beam. Defense Deoxys with Thunderbolts. It seems it's Swampert. I think that's maybe bait dependent. But then there are some good wins, right? With Hydro Pump, you get so you beat Sandslash non-Shadow version, right? Again, Bastiodon, Stunfisk. I mean, Altaria, obviously. All the Darks are in here. Flyers. So it's still a decent Pokemon. The only problem I've always ever had with it is how... I don't want to call it... I always call it clunky. Just like a Bubble's like a 3-turn move. It's very, very, very easy to count and catch on it because it's just like 5, 6, 7, right? 5 bubbles to an Ice Beam, 6 bubbles to a Play Rough, 7 to a Hydro Pump. So it's very easy to like count and catch on it. Plus like a 3-turn fast move. So it was just always so easy to battle against and just like manage your energy against. But yeah, I still think it's worth playing. Altaria, I don't know. I really, really am having a hard time finding its place in this meta. Not that there's no reason to use it because it still does well against a lot of Pokemon. But just to have so many ice Pokemon now, and the fairies are picking up a bit to resist the Dragon Breath, and there's so much steel that you don't have any moves to throw at least, again, why people use the Owl is at least you throw Shadow Balls against the steels. It's just so many Pokemon that now really, really cause it a lot of problems. And that is why I think you're seeing a lot less of it. And I think rightfully so. I think there's like other flyers I would want to use ahead of Altaria at this point. But again, Altaria's still a beast. Like if they don't have ice on their team or a steel, which again, lots of teams do have that combo. But if they don't have an ice or steel or a fairy, right? Getting to a lot of different Pokemon there. But if you don't have that, you're looking good. Because Altaria just in neutral situations to good situations is a beast. So that's that in mind. And Registeel is Registeel. I still prefer running Galarian Stunfisk over Registeel, in my opinion. I just feel like Registeel is one of those Pokemon where, I mean, Lock-On's still very, very, very fast charging. But just having like 2 nukes, I'd rather have that Rock Slide to be able to just to throw quickly in neutral situations, as opposing to like needing to get to a nuke there, right? So that is sort of the only drawback of Registeel in my opinion. But one worth using, obviously. Super ranked high. It's probably still like what, top 5? Oh, number 1 ranked. And G-Fist number 2. Okay, and Altaria's gotta be what? Altaria's still 21, because I said, again, there are so many hard answers. So 26 and 16. It's just one of those things where it's like your losses are really bad losses. Like a Ninetales, a Sandslash, Walrein, Bastiodon, Azumarill, Frostlass are all below 300, and some of those are below like 2 and 100, which means like you're getting killed. Stunfisk at 360, Registeel 373, like just so many hard losses. But then you get out of those hard losses, beat the Owl, beat Sableye, beat Trevenant, beat Cresselia, beat Medicham, beat Umbreon, beat Lanturn, beat Swampert with ease because everything's resisted. Right? So there are so many good. So it's not, again, it's ranked high because it has so many wins. 26-16 record is great. If you're running this thing, you just need to cover it with 2 Pokemon that can beat everything on this list. So Registeel was one of them because, I mean, a Sandslash may cause Registeel problems now. You basically need something that can beat all these Ice-type Pokemon and Bastiodon and Steels. So if I were to actually try and team build properly with this thing, I think you'd go Altaria, Swampert. Medi would make you double weak to Fairy. So Swampert, Altaria. And then what would my third be? My third, you could run it like a G-Fisk because you're not weak to fighting anywhere else. And G-Fisk is a nice answer to all these Ice-type Pokemon and Bastiodon and neutral situations outside too. So I think if I was going to run this, I'd run like Altaria, Swampert, G-Fisk, or Registeel, right? But same idea basically. So I think that is how I would build around Altaria. How I'd build around the Azumarill. You gotta cover a few things. You gotta cover Steel. You gotta cover Poison. You gotta cover Poison, Steel, and let's put in Hydro there. What did I say? Poison, Steel, and the grass, but the grass that is, yeah, and Lanturn. So Poison, problem is Poison and Lanturn are so easily beat by a ground, but you can't go in a ground because then you're going to be weak to unless you run a ground that is also have flying, like Gliscor, right? Because Gliscor is going to be weak to water and ice, which you will resist on Azumarill. You have the wing attack for the grass. You have the earthquake for the earthquake for the steels. You resist the poison because of the ground. So I think Azumarill with like a Gliscor would be a good combo. I could also just see what PV Poke recommends because its team thing is very, very, very good from that perspective. It recommends a Steel, Registeel, Stunfisk. Makes sense. Also Medicham. I guess Medicham makes sense too. Medicham on every team makes sense. Stupid Pokemon is so strong right now. Lickitung. Lickitung is just going to make you pretty vulnerable. I mean, even the Steels, the thing is like with Lickitung, even though you lose against like Registeel and you lose against Bastiodon, you take them pretty low. So between that and the Bubble and Hydro Pump on Azumarill, I think you're in a good situation there. But again, that's not like a perfect answer for some of these grass Pokemon that you're going to be weak to. Yeah, and then Registeel basically just cover your fighting weakness. So like Sableye is probably one of the high. Sableye, Flyer, right? Pelipper, Altaria, Medicham. Is Medicham ever not recommended with something I'm just going to go down this list to see if Medicham is not recommended with something. Stunfisk, there's Medicham. Scrafty, yeah, Scrafty's saying more come with a flyer. Because you're weak to fighting, right? You're weak to fighting. Swampert, yeah, Swampert, they always say pair with a flyer because again, when your only weakness is grass. Anyways, that is an old school team. That is how I would build with these Pokemon. I think all of them have play on the right team. So just pair appropriately, and I think any of these can work still in this meta as it is right now. So that is basically it. Appreciate watching, appreciate the thumbs up and comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.